Nando V Movies has a new video essay challenge thing. He's commissioned YouTube film essayists to make a video about a scene that portrays a villain that we like to think is really good.
And if you look at the list, it's pretty standard. I like the Joker. I like this one too. I like Harley Quinn and Agent Smith and all these motherfuckers. Even you, Kai. Even you.
Now, of course there's some more niche ones, but altogether these are some popular villains. Come on, everyone likes Thanos. But we've decided to talk about a villain that isn't so unanimously agreed on.
We're talking about the Snyder vs. Lex Luthor. I mean Lex Luthor. Specifically the scene where Lex confronts Superman on the rooftop in the critically acclaimed Batman v Superman. Ultimate Edition.
Obviously, spoilers for BVS ahead. Here's a completely uncontroversial take on a completely uncontroversial villain. I'm Emerald.
I'm Henry.
And this is
The Spotlight.
Jesse Eisenberg's interpretation of Lex Luthor is an altogether very divisive one. A lot of DC fans hate how Snyder has a comic inaccurate version of Lex, or he ruined the character, or by using this interpretation, Zack Snyder has personally walked over to my house, kicked me in the balls, and pissed in my salad, and if this is you, relax. Eisenberg's portrayal is unconventional, but remember, the Joker in The Dark Knight and in Joker are both comic inaccurate portrayals, technically speaking, but they work in service to their movie, which is why they're beloved characters.
Love him or hate him, we think he works well in BVS. He serves as a catalyst to Batman and Superman's rivalry, and pushes key moments to force them into a fight. While his weird tics can put some people off, we like him, and even if you don't, he has some genuinely intimidating lines that balance it out.
The scene we'll cover today is the rooftop confrontation between Lex Luthor and Superman, where Lex serves as Soup's final straw to attack Batman. We'll get into a narrative deep dive on why the scene serves as Lex's crowning achievement and coolest monologue in the movie, but first we should address something.
BVS has a very divided audience. This video is probably going to piss some people off, specifically people who don't like this movie. So, before we dive into the more divisive parts of this scene, we're first going to recap the scene. Then we're going to talk about some indisputably good formal elements that make this scene function. Then we'll get into the juicy narrative stuff.
So if you can't remember, Batman v Superman is a continuation of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel. It recontextualizes the Man of Steel finale, allowing us to see Batman react to Superman's wanton destruction of life and property. Throughout the movie, we get a slow build to Batman hating Superman. Batfleck sees Superman as an alien threat and stops seeing him as a humanized hero, which is why he's willing to kill him, and why the story plays out the way that it does.
Superman, conversely, grows a distaste for the Dark Knight's no-mercy method of justice. Batman, having been Batman for 20-some years in this canon, has lost his morals and begins to kill criminals. Superman develops a distrust for him and an eventual rivalry. Meanwhile, Lex Luthor has been sending Batman notes to pit him against Superman. Finally, Bats creates a kryptonite weapon to slay the Man of Steel.
All that's left to stop Batman and Superman fighting is Superman's moral code and refusal to truly kill him. However, Lex Luthor, the opportunist, takes his chance. And that brings us to the scene on the rooftop. Lex Luthor lures Superman into a confrontation on top of a tower and reveals his true motivations. He sees Superman as a god and wants to prove to the world that the god he hates is no better than the ordinary man. He wants Superman to fight Batman and kill him. Superman at first refuses, but then it's revealed that Lex has taken Clark's mother hostage.
And so begins one of the very best scenes in Batman vs. Superman, Ultimate Edition. Lex slowly plays his hand and brings Superman to his knees, forcing him to go to Gotham and fight. Now, let's get into the filmmaking aspects that make this scene so great.
Boy, do we have problems up here!
Starting with camera work. Zack Snyder has sometimes been called a style over substance visual director, and while I personally disagree with this, he does have a good eye for a shot. The scene starts with Superman flying high above Lex. The camera remains low, angling up at Superman to begin with as he floats above. Conversely, Lex is seated. The camera is above him, angling down. Superman, who Lex believes to be an evil god, flies high above, god over man. As Lex stands up and begins to monologue, Superman floats down. He's still physically above Lex, and the camera reflects that by showing low angles looking up at Superman and more high angles looking down at Lex from over Superman's shoulder.
Lex slowly starts to reveal his hand. When he proves he knows Superman's identity is
Clark? Joseph? Kent?
Superman comes to a stop, standing on the same level as Lex. The camera still slightly angles above Superman and down at Lex, but much less pronounced than before. As Lex slowly begins to reveal that he has something on Superman, he strides across the helipad and now stands on the opposite side of Superman. Their sides narratively and physically reversed. The camera no longer hangs over Superman's shoulder, but now it is chest level, looking straight on at Lex. Superman is no longer above him.
And suddenly, as Lex commands Superman to fight the Bat, the camera is now slightly looking up at Lex and down at Supes. Lex has taken control of the conversation, and he reveals his ace in the hole. He has
Martha, Martha, Martha.
Clark, finally realizing his situation, sinks to his knees. Lex shows that Superman can't kill him, and now Lex is truly above Superman, and the camera, of course, on its trajectory of the power dynamic, reflects this. Every time we cut back to Lex, the camera leans into an angle, the Dutch tilt. These Dutch angles keep getting more and more pronounced until we get this wicked angle as Lex leaves, leading to the unease and the tension of the scene. And Lex flies away in a helicopter, as Clark Kent kneels. Their roles are completely reversed from the first shot of the scene.
Another cool aspect? Score. Hans Zimmer is probably the best modern film composer, and he knocked it out of the fucking park with the Batman vs. Superman soundtrack. Lex's theme, The Red Capes Are Coming, may very well be my favorite villain theme, giving the Imperial March a run for its money.
Here's a lightning round of some other small fun facts about the scene.
This line,
No man in the sky intervened when I was a boy to deliver me from daddy's fists and abominations.
comes back later, when Superman saves Lex from the fists of Lex's own creation. Potent irony there.
The dialogue is just objectively good. These lines,
And now God bends to my will. God is all powerful. He cannot be all good. They need to see the fraud you are. With their eyes. The blood on your hands.
are powerful and fun and scary, and I dig it.
Even these parts are fun because of the kind of weird delivery.
Boy, do we have problems up here. Black and blue. Fight night. The greatest gladiator match in the history of the world. Mother of God! Would you look at the time?
Lex does set the timer at the beginning of the scene, giving Superman less than an hour when he leaves. It's not entirely fair, but that's the point. Lex is trying to show God that life isn't fair.
Also this,
Bring me the head of the bat.
set up anyone?
Alright, let's piss off the diehard DC fans and talk about... A lot of BVS complaints talk about a lack of motivation for Lex to do what he does, but no, this is pretty clear. He flat out says it right here.
I figured out way back. If God is all powerful, he cannot be all good. And if he is all good, then he cannot be all powerful.
But if you're still not convinced, take a look. Lex was abused as a child by his father, as he says here.
Daddy's fists and abominations.
That caused him to hate the power dynamic of God to man, or of a more powerful person to a weaker one. He hates God for not intervening and believes that powerful people are always a little bit evil, and he wants to prove it. He hates that Supes is regarded as ineffable by the general populace, and he wants to show the
Holes in the holy. Yes, the Almighty comes clean about how dirty he is when it counts.
He projects his hatred of his father onto God, and his hatred of God onto Superman. That's why he tries to convince Batman that he's powerless. He tells Batman that he let his family die to make him feel like he's weak, which fuels Batfleck's anger at Superman. He hates Superman because Superman is a god to the world, serving justice as judge, jury, and executioner if necessary. And remember, Batman and Superman already have hatred brewing. But Superman's good nature, as well as Batman's, is why they hadn't clashed already. Lex was required as a catalyst to stoke the flames and push them to the edge in order to fight each other. People say that the Man of Steel destruction and the Batman brand of vigilante justice should have been motivation enough for them to fight, and therefore this scene is unnecessary. But no, Superman and Batman are both heroes until Lex forces them to be something else.
And that's what makes Lex such a cool villain. He's able to force superheroes to become villains and fight to the death, without any of his staples from the comics. He's powerful just by being motivated. In past interpretations of Lex Luthor and in the comics, he's been a rich, powerful businessman with all the money and influence to stand up to Superman. This Lex is not exactly that. He's basically evil Mark Zuckerberg, but I think there's a decent reason for this. This is his origin. Before this, he's been plotting, sure, but never making a true appearance. This is him becoming the villain that he's meant to be, and growing into the force that he would be in any later installments of the DCEU.
His little quirks? He's still figuring out what it takes to be a villain. It's an intentional choice to give the man hair when he's famously bald. He's just Lex right now, growing into the Lex Luthor, and that's exactly what this movie needs. He's the catalyst to Batman and Superman, pitting them against each other but ultimately creating the enemy for them to face together. He's a little unstable and not super composed, and still figuring shit out. That's the brilliance of him.
He doesn't need to be tall and buff in a huge mech suit threatening to blow up the West Coast for real estate. That comes later. He dominates the room, the scene, and Superman with just his mind. He's intimidating because he's fucking terrifying just the way he is. He's not as visibly powerful as full potential Lex, but he's just as scary because he's unhinged and on a vendetta against God.
Now, of course, some villains are terrifying and successful in the conventional comic Lex sense. Dark Knight's Joker takes control of each scene, never feeling like he's anything but in total control of the events that play out. Darth Vader never seems unsure of himself. He's also the dominant force in the movie. Eisenberg's Lex Luthor is not that. However, he's still terrifying, because despite the fact that through a lot of the movie, he seems like he's kind of just improvising his plans, this rooftop scene cements him as a force that can rival a Kryptonian, a force that can bring a god to his knees.
And that is our One Villainous Scene video on Lex Luthor. We hope you enjoyed it, and remember that you're entitled to your opinion, even if it's wrong. I've been Emerald.
I'm Henry.
And this has been
The Spotlight.